It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Cat.
How would a team up between Ixis, Naugus and DuckTales 2017's Magica Dispel play out? And who would win in a fight between the two?
I think a more important question is, how's it already been 6 years?
2017? What?
Since the DuckTales reboot. How
not only did it begin, it also ended. Like, how could it begin and end? How could it have begun and ended already? Like, that was so fast. I don't think the original DuckTales lasted that long either, but wow.
I am bamboozled.
Flabbergasted, as it might be. Help me, Ian. Anyway, answer the question.
Yeah. As far as the team up would go, it'd be short-lived.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine it would be a meeting of the minds looking for a shared interest of some magical MacGuffin, and then the vile but inevitable betrayal happens, probably from both of them at the same time, and then leads to the inevitable fight, which is what you're here for anyway.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to Naugus, I think it's a question of which Naugus we're talking about. Like, Sad I Am Naugus had poorly defined magic powers, but the implication was he was pretty dang powerful. And Archie Sonic Naugus was very clearly elemental with a couple of other tricks up his sleeve, depending on what he had on hand. So that would sway things a little bit here or there. Magica seems to be a kind of all-purpose switch. Mm-hmm. She can cast whatever magic the plot requires and is largely dangerous. Granted, she's defeated by an old man and a family of people who just have tremendous luck on their side. But then again, Naugus got punked by somebody who has no innate magic ability. So I think it scales out in the end. I am more inclined to give it to Magica simply because she has more style, and listening to Naugus for an extended period of time is just tiresome. But that's personal bias. I have no actual metrics to weigh that on.
Man, I loved Magica in the DuckTales 2017 show. Actually, Magic is just great in general. Yeah.
No.
I mean, this is just leading up to the inevitable full-on Sonic and DuckTales crossover that we all want and need in our lives.
Although, I have to say, it would be fun to see him pinching the coin in his little claw and go, "At last, Scrooge's #1 dime." That's just funny.
I forgot that's what he sounded like. Oh, man.
Yeah, like...
Oh.
What if an asthmatic breathed tar directly? That's Ixis Naugus.
Oh man, being asthmatic, that frightens me. That terrifies me. Yeah.
And this is after I've had my inhaler.
Please, nobody buy a guest episode for Naugus. No, nobody do that. No. Despite being an adrenaline junkie and thrill seeker, it's been known that Sonic enjoys sitting down and reading a good book. What kind of books do you think Sonic enjoys reading? Whom does he enjoy talking to books about? And does the tortoise and the hare completely confuse him?
It does, but not for the reason you would think. He gets hung up on why would the hare not do his best. Yeah, he was arrogant, but it's a race. You have to do your best in a race. You owe it to yourself to do the best that you can. Why is he just relaxing before the race is done? At least treat your opponent with a little bit of credibility. Come on, ninja kick the damn rabbit. So his heart's in the right place there. I imagine he can read anything that's got a nice cadence to it. Anything that's got kind of flowery prose or is a bit long and dense, he'll get bored of. But if it moves along at a decent clip, I can imagine he'd read just about anything. Fantasy, nonfiction, as long as it's written in a kind of engaging way.
His favorite books are the ones that suck him in, literally.
Yeah. And otherwise, I see him kind of just chilling and talking to whoever's read the similar book. most people might be surprised that he has read said book, and that's the first hurdle you have to get over. Wait, you read War and Peace? It's a quick read.
Amy has a book club.
Okay.
And Sonic is surprisingly active in it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I think he would enjoy Lord of the Rings. It's a long book. It's a long read even for him, but might be fun to have Sonic and the Lord of the Rings. There you go. You'll suck him in. Put him in Middle Earth. There you go.
One does not simply walk into Mordor. No, you run. Okay, it's done. Ice rod's falling over.
And he's like, what's this? Only one ring? I don't understand.
No wonder he went down so fast. I usually carry at least 10 or 20. You can pick one up at the end.
I'm sure Omega's in the book club too, right? Because of course he would be. Omega has thoughts on War and Peace. Too much peace.
That he enjoys one over the other.
Too much peace. What were the IDW original characters such as Ruff, Tumble, Tangle, Starline, Jewel, and the Diamond Cutters up to during the events of Unleashed, with the world shattered and the Dark Gaia monsters popping up?
Ruff and Tumble, I imagine, were trying to loot whatever regions were along the planetary fissures and getting in trouble along the way. Tangle and Jewel were in Spiral Hill, taking care of things, doing the best they could. They seemed so far inland, although we don't know where exactly they are in the world. But I imagine they weren't affected too badly by things splitting up. But, you have the beasties at night, and Tangle had a good old time going out playing Vigilante on that.
Mm-hmm.
Starline would have been hanging back and just marveling at it. And, the first and only person to buy tickets to get to Eggman Land. He's on the rides while Sonic is going through the final Eggman Land stage.
Well, that makes enough sense, I suppose.
He exits the park just bedazzled by what the lovely experiences was, and why is there a horizon again? That wasn't there when I got here.
Oh man!
What do you mean he lost already?
Oh boy!
And Diamond Cutters are out there doing good. Finding hot spots of Dark Gaia activity and blasting the beasties.
Awesome. One thing that hasn't been touched upon since the ending of SA2 is Eggman's admiration for Gerald and wanting to be a great scientist like him. How would you go about fleshing out Eggman's admiration for his grandfather, along with explaining why that admiration resulted in Eggman becoming villainous instead of altruistic like Gerald?
Well, here's the thing. Gerald, for those who actually knew of him, would have gotten Gunn's cover story, that he was a mad scientist that went rogue on the Ark. So that would have been the legacy Eggman would have known about.
Mm-hmm.
And any good he did beforehand that was public knowledge would have just come across as the world's longest con. So maybe I'm interpreting it a bit too much my own way, but I feel like that's where Eggman would have been inspired by, is that, his grandfather went so evil, the government had to step in and shut him down. And there's that bit after they learned the truth that he had orchestrated all this posthumous revenge, and the line read is just perfect. That mad scientist. He loves it. He totally digs it. He is so glad Grandpappy Gerald was off his rocker. So I think there's that to be explored. Beyond that, I think you'd have to actually get into Eggman's character and who he was and how he got to where he is today to show how Gerald would have influenced that. And I don't think we'll ever get the opportunity to delve into a backstory like that for at least a modern/game Eggman.
Well, maybe someday. So a character you only wrote briefly for was Sonic the Zone Cop, and I'm curious to know how you would further flesh out this version of Sonic. He's an alternate version of Sonic that's pretty rare, in which instead of living life his way and doing what he feels is right, like many of his counterparts, Sonic is a very rule-abiding hero who lets the law outweigh his personal feelings, such as how he explained to Sonic that he couldn't retrieve the alternate Robotnik that had taken the place of the original Robotnik as he died. Did you plan on further developing Sonic to showcase why he had this mentality, and perhaps even do a character arc of him realizing the flaws of such a mindset?
Not really. I had no particular interest to dwell in the parallel dimension much at all. It was a convenient setting for Scourge, but that was using the material for the benefit of a more interesting character. Let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Sonic, I think you could make the argument that in his own parallel way, he was still the wide-ranging adventurer in that he's going to all these alternate realities and doing good. But there is that aspect of why is he so entrenched in the Zone Cop doctrine. Everybody seemed to be a part of that greater system. I took that as just part of the conceit of that dimension. You know, the Anti-Mobius is where everyone is a evil or inverse counterpart just by their nature.
Mm-hmm.
The Zone Cops were all part of that system by their nature, because the whole premise was that the Prime Universe was the one true one and everything else was a variant of that, which in turn spurred on Scourge's personal motivation because of what is the point of his own existence if he has no say over it. He is just literally a cosmic knockoff. So maybe there's another angle there to be explored with Sonic, that he accepted that fate or something, but I don't remember ever having long-term plans for it.
All right. When you finally had Surge and Sonic meet each other for the first time, how did you settle upon what Sonic's reaction would be after this random person he never met suddenly drags him across the ground at Mach 1 before throwing him into a guardrail, and then starts yelling at him over how their life sucks because of them and how they're going to enact revenge? And how do you think other Sonic characters would react if that were to happen to them?
Within Sonic's context, he's had these kinds of out-of-nowhere do-or-die ambushes before. These kinds of high stakes are not unfamiliar to him. And the only thing that's really particularly different is, you know, Surge stuck around. She didn't make her big declaration and then disappear, or Sonic wasn't knocked unconscious and sealed away. She was here for a fight. She drew the line in the sand, which gave him time to actually contemplate and react. And to that, we had some fun with it so that he could be, you know, okay, Surge has built this moment up in her mind. This is her defining moment of her existence. This is everything she has been made for. And she has denied that, which is further undercutting the entire principle behind what Starline did, which you can't manufacture the Trinity like he thinks it is. Like he has analyzed the world on such a meta level that he's lost the forest for the trees. And Sonic's reaction of, okay, I have a second here to react, and I have no context for what this is. I just have somebody yelling at me, and I have a mild concussion. Let's not rise to the moment. Let's, you know, step it back and see how this is going. And that, in turn, just enrages Surge further, because that is the wrong answer. She's not prepared for that. That's not what she was built for. Why are you not fighting me back?
Why are you so nice? Stop. I hate you.
For the other characters, it really would depend. Like, I imagine Tails would have a similar reaction, but he would be more defensive. Amy, likewise. Like, of course, she's not nearly as familiar with being ambushed and having to fight again.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, when she gets ambushed, that's it. She's caught. So she might be more inclined to go into fight or flight mode because she doesn't know exactly how to handle these situations. Shadow, if you could get the jump on him, wouldn't even hesitate. He'd go straight into the action.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Knuckles, likewise, is like, all right, you think I've ruined your life so far? Let me finish it. Pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, I don't think Blaze would screw around either. She might be caught off guard a little bit, but no.
Surge, yes. Surge laid down a challenge. She is obligated to meet her in the honorable field of battle and set her on fire.
Exactly.
Silver might try to talk it out. Like, I think he would be derailed earnestly by the confusion of the situation. Like, he sees himself as a hero, as someone who makes things right. So to have someone declare, you're the reason why everything's wrong, he would be hurt. He would be upset. Why am I the problem? No. I need to make this right. Let's back it up. Sorry. What did I do? Which would also drive Surge up the wall.
Yeah, pretty much. If you were tasked to reinvent the 1992 Sonic manga in a new ongoing comic, how would you go about it? The only stipulation is that you must maintain core elements such as Niggy's transformation into Sonic. I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential with this series that would work fantastic as a reimagining since it got that kind of Shazam/superhero vibe to it.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with all its elements. I need to do a fair bit of research, but I feel like treat it as its own incarnation of Sonic. Don't try to fold it into the current versions at all. Make it its own thing so it has room to explore stuff like Nicky turning into Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
And then just give it a solid narrative through line. You've got the Veruca family, which is a large staple of antagonists that are all very strictly characterized and thus have fun ways to be a problem.
And very salty.
You've got Nicky's... Yeah. You have Nicky's family, which has tons of interaction possibilities, both wholesome and family driven. I guess it'd be more of a down to earth family drama, almost Sonic Underground-esque in that regard, I guess.
Yeah.
Eggman would be the weird thing, since from what I remember, what I've seen, he seems to be just like this weirdo who pops up every now and again and is a problem. He's not the big bad.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what he is.
Yeah, but you've got the Verucas
as I know.
A more common thing. So, if Eggman was less of a ultimate villain and more of the kind of weird Mr. Mixia Spitlicks type thing. Oh, here comes that bald guy who does weird stuff. Brace yourself. That could be a fun twist on it.
Well, next time I want you to describe Eggman when you have to write Sonic. I want you to have Sonic describe Eggman as that weird guy who comes around and causes problems once in a while.
You got it, boss.
Just a very like, just not even really treating him with much any like. Just kind of generic, just a generic guy. He's just this weird guy. Was there anything else? Did I cut you off on something? I feel like I did.
No, that's about all I have on it right now.
Okay. When it comes to Eggman and his creations, he tends to disown or discard creations of his that he once held in high regard, such as Mecha Sonic 2.0, Omega, and Gemerald, to name a few. Given how Sage would see these robots as her brothers, how would she feel about her father treating them in such a way? And would she be afraid of Eggman replacing her with a new AI?
Well, to a degree, most of those weren't discarded. Mecha 2.0 was defeated and, as far as anyone knew, destroyed. Omega went full rogue. Omega lived on his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
It was a misunderstanding. He thought he was being scorned, and he took that very personally. But that's not really Eggman's fault. And, Gemerald became a giant evil space monster. Again, they thought he was destroyed, and Tails managed to salvage him. But I'm getting pedantic. I know where you're getting with these.
Well, it is pedantic.
To a degree, I think Sage would see herself... Yeah. I see Sage as seeing herself as removed from this cycle, that she is special and unique, and if anything is discarded, it is because they have failed their mission to her father and therefore deserve to be shunned and delisted and mothballed and what have you. Eventually, she could come around to the idea that, well, if she fails, wouldn't that mean that she would be dismissed as well? Or, her father's always creating bigger and better things. What if he does create a Sage 2.0 that is superior? And then she could get a little worried about it. But I feel like in this scenario, or at least the way I would like to approach it, is that Eggman actually does care about her on a much deeper level than any of his other creations, like on a truly personal parental level. And he would assure her that they are family and they will never speak of it again.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring this up. It's creepy. It's mushy. I made you better than that.
Uh-huh. Sure. If you were tasked with giving Tails his own AI assistant akin to Sage, Orbot, and Cubot, how would you approach it? Technically, he does have Teapup, but I mean an AI even more advanced. So his own Jarvis, so to speak.
Personally, I see this as the avenue to bring Nicole into the mix.
In a sense, yeah.
I know that might ruffle a few feathers for some folks, but Nicole was a helpful and heroic AI, and Tails is, without question, the highest end tech guy in the Sonic franchise as far as the good guys are concerned. So I see that making the most sense.
Well, hurry up. What are you waiting for? You've been asked questions regarding Sonic characters fusing, but if you were given the chance to introduce the concept in Sonic, how would you approach it? I.e., the method of characters fusing, the criteria that needs to be met, how often you would want to use fusions, etc. Apart from the obvious fusion of Sonado, what fusions do you think would be the most fun to do? And among the cast, which characters do you think would be most open to the idea of fusing with someone else?
Okay, so I basically already had a pitch doc for this.
Well,
it's probably never going to get picked up by Sega, so what the hell, we'll put it out here.
Okay.
But the general idea is that Eggman is attempting to do the whole Metal Sonic copies people's powers to get more power again.
Yeah.
And the particular upgrade for this device, like, literally destabilizes them physically so that they become spirit-like. And Tails, in his last moments before he gets zapped, creates a countermeasure that Sonic puts on that becomes his MacGuffin for the game, and he is able to rescue/stabilize the buddies who get zapped by incorporating them into said gauntlet, and he's able to access their powers, fuse, and give you special abilities for individual regions of the stage or for a minigame or what have you, however the gameplay ultimately worked out. And all of these would use Sonic as the base model, but then apply some of the signature traits and colors of whoever he fuses with to create said fusion. So you have a universal through line that you can have multiple permutations on. So Sonic and Tails fusing, you get Sails. And he gets, and have his spines turn into the two big ones like Silver has to mimic the twin tails. Have them mostly orange, but with the white accents. And in addition to regular gameplay, he gets a whole like Nights into Dreams segment that he can fly around in. Clearly, you have to have Sonics with Sonic and Knuckles together.
Mm-hmm.
Have segments that are more about like short point-to-point combat, or shoot, maybe even take some from Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, where you have a dedicated one-on-one fight that's all about rhythm and timing and figuring out the tells of each opponent. Sonado, yeah, that's a given. I mean, come on. Not sure what specifically the gameplay would be unless it was something akin to Shadows in 06, so that it's still high-speed platforming, but with a lot of pummeling of some various unfortunate souls. And then from there, it's like, that's already 3 major play types. What else could you do for maybe like small mini games? Maybe you fuse with Big and you go fishing. Maybe you...
What about Amy? Don't leave Amy out.
That's the thing. That's the DLC campaign. Oh. That is the parallel story where it's Amy who gets the thingy instead of Sonic, and she goes around fusing with the entire female cast. So you get her fusing with Cream, with Blaze, with Rouge.
Interesting. I mean, I like it.
Like, make her like the central protag with the additional abilities and variations. Some of the fusions give her new hammer power. Some of them give her new mobility things. It could be neat.
Fire hammer. I'm ready. Sneaky hammer. I like it. Stretchy hammer. Boom and Tangle. Or Amy and Tangle. Boom. Why did I say boom? Sorry. Next question starts with boom. That would be fun. Fun stuff. All right. Boom time, fellas. A time has finally come. Boom, Sonic, and Amy are getting married. Wow, this escalated quickly. What hilarious hijinks ensue during the lead-up to the wedding? And what do you think is more likely to happen? Eggman trying to get Sonic to make him his best man by capturing Tails and Knuckles? Or him crashing the wedding since he's insulted that he didn't get an invite, when in reality he did? Cubot just accidentally threw it away.
Or ballot stuffing box ate it, or he lives in a volcano. Do you know how much mail gets lost in the volcano? But yeah, the through line of Eggman feeling like he should be part of this joyous ceremony and being snubbed left, right, and center, that writes itself.
Well, yeah.
Like, He's not even on the guest list. He's not best man. Well, he's the most important person in Sonic's life. Why is he not best man? Trying to become the officiant, trying to be the ring bearer, just
trying to become the bride.
Just every single thing. And then, the rest of the cast has their, fairly easy roles.
Oh, yeah.
Tails would be best man. You got Styx as the bridesmaid. Knuckles. Oh, Knuckles.
I figured Knuckles
would he be presiding?
Was be presiding, yeah.
That would be the funniest thing. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today. Knuckles, the book is upside down. You're upside down. All right, anyway. And then, the catch is at the very end that Eggman, storms the entire thing. And if he can't be part of the wedding, then he will end the wedding. And then everyone cracks up because he fell for it.
Yeah.
He totally fell for it.
Yep.
What do you mean I fell for it? We had this running bet that you would actually think they're getting married and you'd get insulted. Pranks on you, ha ha. And then you end, of course, with the Sonic and Amy. Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if we actually did that? Ha ha ha! Awkward laugh. No actual direct eye contact. I got somewhere to be.
Wow. Didn't Archie do this with Sonic and Sally? Like very early on.
Oh, yeah.
It was like issue 20 something, I think. I remember that. I mean, it's a very common trope, the fake wedding. It's to lead out the villain. Yeah, I get it, but still. I mean, it would work for Boom.
I mean, early Archie Sonic really wasn't that far away from Boom.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I mean, modern Sonic in a lot of ways really wasn't that far away from Boom until recently, so... yeah. You've heard of Scourge Time and Boom Time, but now it's Mighty Time. Ooh, I like Mighty Time. How would Sonic Frontiers play out with Mighty and the rest of the team forgotten, Styx, Honey, and Ray, with Mighty needing to rescue his friends as he interacts with Sage and fights the Titans? What are Honey, Styx, and Ray's emblems? And what big emotional moment would you give each of the characters with Mighty?
Mighty's progression would be...
I want to play this.
Honestly, pretty much the same as Sonic's.
I was going to say, it wouldn't be too different, but...
Like, less snark with Sage being a pain in the butt and uncooperative, but he would have the same level of patience and desire for understanding. And, I mean, he's Mighty. It's not like he's in particular peril, because he's the best there is.
He can punch a hole through the islands.
I imagine he'd get one solid wall up on Giganto, and the thing actually reacts, but then recovers, and he's like, oh, neat. And then he gets tossed through several mountains and a wall and dusts himself off. Huh. All right, I'm going to need to pack a bigger punch. That's new. Like, just takes it totally in stride.
Oh, yeah.
Honey, her emblems are honeycomb logos. That's part of her brand.
Delicious.
She's put out that she's all ghosty and can't be more in the fray. That'd be more fun. Mm-hmm. But this location is great. She can get so many modeling shots here once she's corporeal. This will drive the brand. She's got so many inspirations for designs here. This is great. Again, once she's corporeal. Styx would be trying to figure out the ins and outs of the islands. Who built these things? Why is this technology older than anything else, but also looks extremely cutting edge? What if it was aliens? It could probably be aliens. Okay, Styx, not everything's aliens. It's
and
okay.
then it
was no. You'll see.
And then it was aliens.
Like, she predicts the plot from the first cutscene, and you're like, okay, Styx. Okay, you just chill out right here. And then you get to the end of it, and Mighty's like, huh, aliens.
Wow, she was right. And her emblem is probably just what, a stick?
Boomerangs.
Okay, I'll give her more credit. Boomerangs is good. And Ray?
And Ray would have parallels to Tails, but not the same existential crisis.
That's what I kind of thought. Yeah.
He is more about, he's trying to be optimistic. He's always the sunny one. He's always the one being encouraging and whatnot. But in this scenario, this is kind of crazy, Mighty. This is a bit bigger than anything we have ever faced before, and I am still intangible. I don't want to just say it's going to be okay just for the sake of it being okay. That feels disingenuous. I don't know what to do. And Mighty saying, don't worry. You count on me, I'll count on you. We've gotten through crazier stuff before. Well, okay, no, not crazier, but this is a crazy. We'll still get through it, and this will be the high bar. You've encouraged me to stick to it. I'm going to encourage you to stick to it. We'll get through this. I'll look after you. And just, incredibly freaking wholesome.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yep.
And, that super mighty fight. All three of them.
Ooh, punchy, mini punchies. I'm down. Erase emblems, pancakes.
Just for Mighty Ray, sure.
Okay. Otherwise, I guess they could be his goggles, but...
Or like sunbursts, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Something like that. But I like pancakes better. Headcanon accepted. Oh, man. That would be a really fun game.
The three of them come together to make the sacrifice to bring corrupted Mighty back. And Ray's like, you've always looked after me. Now I'll look after you. And he's like, I need you back. You're going to be modeling the main line of my Starfall Island apparel. And Styx was like, I told you it was aliens!
Oh, yes. All right. This one is really long. We need to keep going. Many Styx fans, such as myself, are excited to see when Styx gets to make her triumphant debut in the IDW series, with it now even seeming more possible than ever before. Now, given that Styx will be in a much more fantastical and action-oriented Sonic setting compared to Boom, with it also having a far bigger roster of characters, what are some of the things and characters you're most excited to have Styx interact with? And would she still be breaking the fourth wall?
I don't want her to become Bean. In the Boom comic, all bets were off. That was just a goofy book. We weren't really trying for anything too narratively solid. We could have a little more fun with that. But modern Styx, I don't feel like the fourth wall breaking is a good idea. Like maybe in kind of like some meta jokes here and there, but I'd want to keep that to an absolute minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Her charm is that she sees the completely unreasonable as reasonable and is more often than not right in the long term, with just enough non sequiturs to make you go, oh, well, maybe she's wrong this time. The fun is that she sees things from a different perspective than everyone else, but not to the point where she is completely metagaming the narrative. Kind of like how Starline was. Like, he stepped back and he looked at everything from that different perspective and tried to game the system, but didn't realize that he was part of that universe. You don't have the creative control that you think you do, Doctor. So that would be my personal approach to it. And as much as her conspiratorial zaniness is kind of her hallmark, that's not the only thing that she is. She's an expert tracker. She's a survivalist. She's someone who can compete with the rest of the group without having, particular super speed or strength or anything. She's just got a lot of ingenuity. So I wouldn't want to pigeonhole her into this is her trait. Give her the full gamut of her abilities and personality. And that can play off of a lot of different characters in a lot of different scenarios. Mm-hmm. More so than just let's find a reason for her to think that the, flickies are all following the Kim trails or something. Beyond that, it would be more or less me pitching plot lines like I would to IDW. So let's not potentially spoil things here.
No. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it happens. You managed to sneak her into Frontiers, sneak a reference to her. So come on again, come on. Any chance we can expect more world building or revisiting more iconic locations from the games in IDW Sonic? One of my favorite things about the Archie comics was how they expanded upon the world of Sonic in a way that games never had, with it feeling like a fleshed out world that showed various cultures and regions. Yet the world in IDW still feels empty almost 5 years, with us tending to revisit the same locations more often than not.
I don't know about empty, because we're returning to these places that the characters are associated with. The focus has been on the
Mhm.
cast and their adventures, and revisiting West Side Island or South Island just for the sake of going back there and saying, "Hey, remember this?" doesn't do a whole lot. And as much as I like name dropping some of these regions, right now anything that's human related is off the table outside of these coy nods. So that's kind of limiting at the moment. If there's any particular reason to return to these game worlds and do something with them, sure, that'd be neat. But at the same time, going there just to go there and say, "Hey, remember this? This happened in this part of the world that's not really going to be defined because there is no defined world map," wouldn't make it feel any richer or more in depth to me.
I'm trying to think of how broad and fleshed out the world felt in the first 50 issues of Archie. Because, I mean, that book kind of spent the first 20-something issues mostly kind of just spinning its wheels. So, I don't know. I guess maybe in comparison to the post-Genesis wave stuff, but you had a dedicated effort to really build that back out to kind of in a way people expected Archie Sonic to be compared to IDW. IDW is a whole new approach, right?
Yeah. And that too was, specifically to build up the extended cast and the extended enemy roster and the regions of the world so that there would be dedicated subplots around the globe, but that was under different criteria. Like, I don't know if we could return to Chunnan like we did in Archie Sonic, because we wouldn't be able to show the humans there.
Yeah.
And that would be really awkward. Like, here's this well-known region from a game with none of the familiar faces. Just trust us, it's Chunnan. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
With these new characters so that there's someone to talk to and interact with there. Yeah.
I guess
sure.
I guess Archie Sonic at 50 had a bunch of I'm gonna say they were throwing a lot of things at the wall and seeing what stuck beforehand. So it felt like there was more going on, but I don't know. It's kind of like a lot of it they either didn't go back to or went back to later, but completely revamped or never mentioned again. It's just kind of a mishmash of stuff inspired by Silver Age comics. Yeah. And the last Banana Cat question. Have you tried pitching any crossover stories involving Sonic and other IDW comics? One of the big things that a lot of people were excited about with Sonic being published by IDW was all the crossover potential due to the company's love of crossing over their comics with each other. Yet we're approaching the 5-year anniversary of the comic's lifespan, and surprisingly, no crossover yet. Is Sega or IDW not interested in doing a crossover with Sonic at this point in time?
I can't comment on business decisions by the licensor or the licensee. I've floated a couple ideas out there, but they never got any traction, so they just didn't go. I guess those pitches just didn't take. They know me. They know my interest, so if they want me involved, they got my number. And if not, there's no shortage of other creative people who can get involved. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
All right. And that's all we got for this decidedly not mini BumbleKast Mini.
A maxi mini.
Just a bit.
If you want your own BumbleKast Mini, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member.
See you next time.